In this video, I'll be looking into the meaning of life and how phenotypes work before looking into why males exist. First, we need to understand how genes survive. Every generation, life creates the next generation. This is the job of the females. This creates life, but also creates negative mutations. Females are also responsible for gaining mutations as they can pick mates. What happens if an organism copies itself over and over? Negative mutations build up and the superorganism goes extinct. This is where males come in. Males kill mutants in the population. Males also protect females from highly mutated males. Males also sacrifice themselves against the environment to test how well adapted the genes are to the environment, sacrificing males that aren't well adapted to the environment. Females create and mutate, males kill, sacrifice, and protect. So why is this important to how males exist? Males exist to make the superorganism more adaptable across time in relation to environmental stability. More males can be produced if more sacrifice and killing is required. More females can be produced when an organism needs to grow or mutate. This makes males a gene's toxin or antitoxin or mutation remover. Ironically, this manifests itself into behaviours seen in humans. Females are toxic, males are heroic. This rule of male and female also works in culture for masculine and feminine. Feminine culture strategies tend to favour creating and mutating culture, while masculine culture strategies are focused on protecting and sacrificing. A good example of males detect foreign mutant males as threats. Females do not do this because they assume they're being protected by males and do not have the same protect instinct. In a way, the male and female dynamic of a single population dictates how that population interacts with other populations. A highly mutated inbred group inside your group, expel them, remove their pathogen. A highly productive and adaptable group inside your people, contain them and make them work for you. An equal footing with the neighbour, sacrifice males in war to quell mutation in both groups. A small group inside a large group, act unthreatening but use manipulation as your weapon instead of brawn. All basic strategies using group dynamics to promote genetic health. When our group is inside another group, it can become highly mutated. For example, through inbreeding or outbreeding, as they start to behave in ways that are manipulative and best described as a stereotypical Jew. Greedy, envious, and weak, and manipulative, while also playing the victim. It basically gives the group borderline personality disorder when you have too many mutations. In fact, borderline personality disorder is often caused by childhood trauma, an indicator that your genes are mutated because no males were there protecting you. Why are these mini mutated groups so badly treated? Because they undermine the culture and genetics of the organism they are living in. They mutate the culture and gene pool more and more. It is important to have mutations as adaptations come from mutations that are being pressured by the environment. This is why Jews are important for the host cultures. Yes, they try and undermine it, but if that culture survives, it can grow stronger and more resistant to mutation from other sources. This is critically important when dealing with incoming mutant threats, as being naive to mutant strategies makes you very easy to manipulate. Currently, the West is under attack from highly mutated populations from India and the Middle East because of their highly inbred populations. If they stopped inbreeding so much, the mutation problem would go away pretty quickly, but their retarded religion makes them believe fucking their first cousin is sane and isn't morally wrong. So why aren't the males protecting females from these foreign mutants? Well, the reason is simple. A build-up of mutations in our gene pool and a lack of selective pressure has reduced the requirement of heroism and sacrifice in terms of gene survival. The current default strategy is the feminine mutate more drive. This is actually a desperate scramble for just a few adaptations, as we aren't detecting as many well-adapted individuals in our cultural practices from our society. Instead of killing mutants or protecting females from mutants, we are currently in the stage of let them be more promiscuous and create more mutant babies. This is a stage of gene survival in relation to selective pressure. Without selective pressure, mutations spiral out of control. Eventually what will happen is what we saw in the rat utopia experiment. Once male detects a certain level of mutation in the females, they contain the females and don't let them reproduce with anyone. This is already happening in the West, but it will only get worse without serious interventions or a collapse. The reason our superorganism controls how much we create, mutate, kill, protect, and sacrifice is to better achieve our genetic goals. This is where the idea of God and Satan comes from, into our superconscious. Satan controls the mutation, God controls the adaptation. All adaptive behaviours are under the archetype of God, as God selected these traits to be favoured ones in the eyes of the environment. Satanic people want to create more mutation. Godly people want to reduce mutation and create more adaptability. So is our goal simply to become adapted to the environment? The answer is yes in terms of the superorganism. The superorganism uses evil as a way to promote mutation and is a side effect of the universe creating mutations at a higher rate than adaptations. So some individuals' goals are to be evil and spread cultural and genetic mutation. This is Judaism and to a lesser extent Islam. This is because in terms of the superorganism, mutation needs to grow so adaptations can be found. If you have a very high mutation rate, the chances of getting someone really well adapted is very low but not zero. With a lower mutation rate, the chances of getting someone pretty well adapted is higher, but a very well adapted individual is virtually impossible to come around. This is why East Asia doesn't produce geniuses with people over 140 IQ very often, exceptionally well adapted people, as the mutation rate is lower than the rest of the world thanks to the environment in East Asia. So the goal of the superorganism is to follow God. This just means it needs to adapt to the environment, which is dictated by God. This is why the idea of God is also in almost every animal and is not unique to humans. God isn't important in understanding what our genes want and what our culture wants. If we follow God better than other people, we will have more adapted people in our population, leading to eventual victory over them when their gene pool dies out or is killed by us. This is what Moses was doing. He was killing mutants. Nicknames for mutants include infidels, beastly men, sinners, and subhumans. In conclusion, males exist to kill, protect, and sacrifice in order to quell mutations. This makes males and masculinity the antitoxin for genetic reasons, and also behavioral reasons. Thank you for listening to my video.